What up, though, YouTubers? This is your boy Mark James St. Patrick, and I'm coming to you again, making another video. So, it's a lot of stuff going on out here, and so what I wanted to do is I want to get right into it, and I want to talk to you about a certain subject. The subject is, you know, why is this guy so angry? And I'm not angry. I'm not upset with anybody. What it is could you imagine sitting around talking to one of your friends, and when you're talking to one of your friends, somebody decides that they go take and go tell some other people what you said, and then now you got to defend what you said. Here's the truth. Uh, I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and Marceau and Martell had just started Scolt. And so Marceau reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna branch out into your area. Why don't you come work for me?" And so I was like, "All right, cool." And so I started working for him, and so uh, Van was working for him at the same time. And so Van was the person who would give me my orders. And so me and Van, she would call me. Matter of fact, the first job I did, that we were doing, I had to the job I had to do required me to go under the house, and I literally told her, I was like, "Well, I'm not going," and she said, "Well, if you don't go under the house, Mister Mark, uh, then we won't be able to pay you." I said, "Well, you can fire me right now because I'm afraid of snakes, and I'm not going under nobody's crawl space ever in my life." I mean, I eventually built up the courage because I kept doing it long enough. But she was like, "Well, if you go under there, I'll talk with you, and I'll walk through there and with you." And so that's how we. She was that kind of person. She's a kind-hearted person, and so it never occurred to me that that we would ever fall out. But so anyway, we kept talking, and I would go do different projects, and I would either be disgruntled or frustrated with the workers or whatever it is I was going through. I would talk to Van. That was like my confidant. I was doing something on Facebook time at the time called Daily Dose. I've always been into writing, and she was like, "You should get back into writing." And so we started exchanging life stories. So she told me a lot about her life, and I told her a lot about mine. So we kind of know each other inside and out when it comes to different situations. And so, with that being said, we kind of talked about you know the show before it became a show. We talked about the different aspects of the show. We talked about different people's relationships. We talked about different things in going on with Scope. We talked about different things going on with me, with my daughter at the time. We talked about people's relationship statuses, different things like this. I remember uh, she was making a gift for someone, and she showed me the gift, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And we would actually encourage each other, and she was on the other side of writing her book, and so it's a lot of personal information that I don't really go into detail in public on. It's going to be on the series, uh, "The Ghost Behind the Reality Show," where I actually do that. But basically, what happened. So here's where the drama kicked off. Everybody wants to know where the drama kicked off. The drama kicked off is that eventually, uh, around the start of the show, around the start of the show, Van and I, well, months before the show, we kind of stopped. It was not romantic. It was pretty platonic, but we were going in different directions, and we were going in different directions. And when the show came out, I think everybody in their family was excited. We had never done reality TV. I had no idea. I don't think anybody had any idea. We didn't know what fans or what vloggers or what tabloids. We didn't know none of this. So as the show began to air, Martell and Melody would get different kind of pub, and I mean they would be on the front of this, and it was like, dang, they doing it. I know these black people doing it, and people I would date living in Charlotte. At the time, I had moved to Charlotte, and by the time I moved to Charlotte, it was like we're excited, and we would try to uh, encourage people to have watch parties. And by encouraging people to have watch parties, we were out there talking about different things about the show. I mean, we had literally got starstruck dealing with the family, not just the family, but dealing with watching the family and their friends take on this whole different character, this whole different monster. It's like uh, maybe being like Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy. Charlie Murphy is not as famous, but he's still famous. Or Ricky Smiley and Tavis Smiley. They go for two different things. So one of the things I did at the time was I decided to start my podcast, Brown Roots. And on Brown Roots, I wanted to talk about things how I don't want to talk about the show, because the show, for me personally, the show has always been its own entity. I never wanted to take the show and make it, me try to gain some kind of popularity out of the show. I always looked at the show and said, this incident in the show is similar to the incident that we've always faced. And so because of that, I started Brown Roots, and a part of Brown Roots was taking everyday things that happened, or so you could see the example, like, man, I saw how that played out, then I could expound on it. So I started Brown Roots, and there was a there is a reviewer, and I didn't know who the reviewer was. It was a weekly review, and I'm looking it up while I'm telling you. So if I get a little distracted, it's just because I'm reading. It was a weekly review, and it was you guys know. I'm looking for it real fast to see if I can bring it up while I'm talking to you. But it was a show that it was oh man, and it was a guy and his wife, and she said I don't remember the name of it, and I can't find it, and I don't want to drag it out, but they're been more successful. But on a review, they were pronouncing Marceau's name wrong. And they were pronouncing Marceau's name wrong, so I was like, and I was trying to, being not knowing that you're not supposed to engage, I tried not to engage. I was trying not to engage. I was trying to just be like, that's not what, it was funny then. Well, not funny. It's like watching a newbie. You watch a person who gets new to reality TV, and then they're like, oh, they want to say, they want to say how they feel. They want to say, they want to correct everybody. So what it was is I was in the comments and I was correcting. I was saying his name is Marceau. The name of the company is Sculpt. Like when you say like SCH doesn't say it's not everybody says Schult, and it's not it's school, not shul, it's shul. And so I was trying to explain that to him, and so eventually they was like, oh, we talked to one of Marceau's brothers, and he said his name is Marceau, so we're sorry for that. And anyway, and so in the comments, what had happened in the comments was, uh, I had said something. Somebody had said something about how they didn't like the way Marcel was treating Tisha, and so I was like, wait a second, hold. This show is not about the way Marcel treats Tisha. The show is about how Martell had cheated on Melody. And being Van, she texted me. I guess she read it or read the comment the next day or something, and her and I talked. Or we either talked or texted. She was like, how dare you throw my family under the bus? And I was like, Van, they, they put themselves out there on that TV. All I did was comment. And she was like, but you're not supposed to say anything. And I was like, why? I'm not on the show. I don't, and from that point, it was like she held me in this regard of, I, like, I was eliminated from enjoying or commenting or correcting or, or anything. And so I felt like, okay, well, if you can't take me talking about something that they put out there, then me and you don't need to talk. And so that was the end of it. We fell out over me redirecting the what I mean I wasn't redirected, but I was just like saying, hey, this ain't showing about them because they weren't the stars. It was Melody and Martell, and so and me and her had talked, so we knew it was about the stars. So it wasn't. That was the gist of how it started. And so we fell out over that. Then later, fast forward, and this is the crux. This right here. This statement that I'm about to make right here is where the show takes it's where the not the show but the fan base takes the turn. Um, a few more weeks into the show, uh, there is uh, there's a lot of Twitter war going back and forth between Marceau and Melody, and and then Bartell said something, and then Wanda went live, and she said something live, and Melody and Bartell asked Wanda to take it down, but they still had a record of what she said. And so this is now this is now let me backtrack. This is my interpretation or what I understood the story to be. Melody and Bartell had asked Wanda to take the live down, but they still had the video. It was still floating, but they asked her to recant the video. And so Barso did tweeted something, and Melody uh, said something like, "It's not like we don't have a videotape." And I think Marcel retweeted back and said, "It's like I would be worried if somebody had a videotape of my mama." And in my opinion, I believe he was not talking about Wanda. I think he was talking about being his mother. So at the same time, now simultaneously, I'm not watching the tweets. I didn't even know this tweet existed until after I made the statement. This might have been second season. It had to be second season because Kiowa, who I've always had a friend, kind of a relationship with with my brother's ex. It's hard to have that kind of relationship because she's the mother of my nephew and he's my brother. So it's kind of a hard line to have relationships with people who are no longer immediately parts of the family but are still significant. Um, and so she hit me up, and we regularly talked. And she was like, I want to do a interview with you for her podcast or whatever she was doing, and so we went live, and we were doing a video recording, and I thought we were just I didn't truthfully I didn't know that people recorded it, and so uh, she asked me about stuff, and I basically kind of went through it. You could go back and can see the live. It's out there somewhere. And basically, I said, yeah, and I was dating Van, and I was giving that to context as to how I was informed about this show, or how I was engaged in the show, and and then I gave context to how Maurice and Kimmy met, and I was basically, it was like, oh, you're calling Kimmy a side chick, and that wasn't. I was saying I believe in Maurice's heart and in the paperwork, I believe it was a settled matter. Now, whether it was actually settled in court or not, it was enough for it not to be cheating or for her to be a side chick. But because at the time I didn't understand that you have to really go into detail about this, I said, well, I don't know if he wasn't married, but I know if he was me, then I moved on. Me and my ex we stopped living together for at least 6 months, and I was already moved in, dating other chicks. I was, had been talking to somebody for like 2 or 3 months before I even signed the paperwork. So in reality, I'm thinking, this is over. If it's not over for the other party, at least it's over for me. And so I was saying, I don't know if I don't think she was a side chick. A side chick would be Maurice had a main chick, and in my eyes, or in anybody's eyes, the same situation being in 2022, we didn't know, but the same situation with Mel signing the papers, it don't matter. I'm out of here. I'm gone. You can do whatever. So, and I can do whatever. And is it cheating? Technically, would it be considered cheating? By the definition of are you divorced? No, but would it be cheating by the other technicality of, like, if something legally happened, the evidence or the actions of both people would say, let's just, I'm gonna say it like this real quick because I want to keep the story going. But if I would have racked up $20,000 in debt, or my wife would have ex-wife would have racked up 20,000 in debt while we were separated, I would have never claimed that. If she hit the lottery, I couldn't claim that. If I hit the lottery, I wouldn't let her claim that. So I think it's that thing. Are we still married? Yeah, but are you getting some of this money? Hell no, because we go. But anyway, and so we were talking, and then later, it came, and so that was that, and somehow, one of the groups that that was on the social media, one of the group's members inboxed me, was like, hey, what's this thing Marcel said about a tape? Like, do you have stuff that you and Van Date? You said, what is he talking about? I was like, I guess the stuff I have. Basically, I mean, we didn't talk verbally, so I was texting him like I got pictures of us being out. I got me and her. We were not in a exclusive relationship. We were dating. We were cool. Like, Van is super chill. Like, Van is encouraging. She's all of these things, but the message that social media has put out has made the story sound so bad. It's so, like, made it sound like I just came after her. So I was sort of anyway. The interviewer from the group was like, what is he talking about? He was like, is there a sex tape? I said, I don't know if there is or isn't. The only way we're gonna have to know if there's a sex tape, if I get into court and I have to show what I have to show. It was like, oh, so you wouldn't bring it out because of what Barso said, and I clearly said it to her, and there's the messages, screenshots out there, and I said, I am not going to move my hand for Barso. I'm not going to use. I'm not going to try to clean up Barso's words because of things I have. I'm not going to try to straighten this story out. I didn't create the story. I don't think Barso created the story. But if it ever comes down to Mark having to defend himself, I have enough evidence to defend myself. And so I just left it out there. And so then I started talking to this other uh, lady. We'll just call her TJ. TJ, and I started talking to TJ, and I didn't know how treacherous reporting was. And so me and her talking to each other and she was like, "So what are you, Mark?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of like the black sheep of the family, and I'm kind of like, I'm kind of the different one." And so that came out when it came. So after the tape came out, and then the whole TV show came up and everything, and Van went on TV and was like, "We were just friends, and even if I was single, I was." It kind of hurt. It stung because it's like, wait a second, we weren't just friends. We did stuff that just friends don't do. And I'm not saying what we did. I'm just saying, just friends. I'm gonna say this, and I can make this very personal. I My father, my grandfather wanted to be an airplane pilot, but he didn't take the classes. My father wanted to be an airplane pilot, but he was colorblind, and so I had told that the story to Van, and for I think it was my birthday or something, she got me a little charter flight where you take a lesson and you learn how to fly. And so this is this person to me. This is the person who's like, "Oh my God, you that was very special. That was a very special gift to me." So this is not a person that I'm just gonna run out here and just throw mud on their name. But at the same time, you don't do that for just friends. I done been married, and my wife never did that. I have, people have known this about me. I used to work at Dassault Falcon, where the fly jets. I would have been a jet there. So this is the second time I've been able to fly, be in an airplane and fly. So this person did something more than just a friend to me. So we were dating. We were doing things. We were doing the kind of things that people who are interested, who are trying to see if it works, do. So when she said we were just friends, I was like, wait a second, hold up. That can't be just what friends do. And so I kind of got upset at that time. At that time, and I have the kind of switch that once it's turned on, the only person in the God can't turn this switch off. The police don't turn this switch off. Courts don't. Fear of death doesn't turn this off. The only way for me to turn it off is for me. So I talked to my family, and they were like, "Hey, well, we just issue an apology, and we go back it down, and one of my closer siblings orchestrated the formal apology, saying that I did. I mean, I meant that we dated, but yeah, maybe y'all thought the sex tape. But the sex tape didn't come from me. It came from the person who interviewed me, who said, "Well, what's this sex tape?" And I was like, I'm not about to dispel that myth. And so we put it to rest. That was the end of it. It's like, hey, I was probably in the wrong for some of the stuff that I said to TJ, but the clapback was that TJ worked closely with Miss Shiree, and that particular trifecta was using information that I had told TJ, and the complexity of the information given by the leader or the admin of the Facebook group, and so, or yeah, Facebook group, and the actual information. So they took those three pieces, and they kept coming at me. So I got off of social media. I got off social media back in 2019. I didn't go back into no groups. And matter of fact, so how I heard about it before I had the issue, I got a call August 25th, 2019. I get the call, and hey, they say your name all over social media. So that's when I was like, whoa, hey, hold up. And my family was like, calm down, we gonna take care of this, say an apology, get off. And so we said the apology, and I got off in 2019. But it was the though the admin of the social media group, the the conversations that I had with TJ, and the actual conjecture between what I said and what Barso said that made the sex tape possible. So neither Barso said it was a sex tape, nor did I say it was a sex tape. It was just put out there that if there's a tape and I was dating her, that those two go together as a sex tape. So I've never said personally, and Barso has never said personally that somebody has a sex tape on Van. So the falling out is actually because what I'm doing now. Just told the truth. I'm like, this show wasn't about. This show was originally about couples who are going to build a community, and it ended up with the show being about infidelity. And I was saying, regardless of how the infidelity or the Barso treats his wife, or how Kimmy and Maurice act, the infidelity. Let's go back to that. Let's talk about that. And being Van fell out about that, and that's what we fell out about. I've never put her down. I've never. What I have put down, and this is how I'm gonna close this out. What I have put her down about is about not being forthright. If you go look at any interview, if you go look at any statement I've ever made, I have a screenshot of the message that I sent her. It hurt when she said we were just friends. The same way it probably hurt when Bartel called the girl a peasant. I wasn't a peasant when we were together. I wasn't a friend when we were together. I wasn't when we were sharing stories, and when I was, driving 6 hours and you'd be on the phone, when you were checking on me, making sure my jobs were done, and when I was telling you, to be okay for some of the stress that was on you. When we were there, I wasn't just a friend. And so when you hear it on national TV that I was just a friend, I had a knee jerk reaction. And so, but at the end of the day, if anybody who has read anything about me will know that I've said it was it was it was our business, it was brief, and it was beautiful. And that's all I've said. Uh, and so to come to this point now, to hear that I want to drag Van, or that I'm dragging Mel because of this relationship. No, that relationship uh, took it. It had its course. It ended, of course, and now there's no discourse. I don't call her and threaten her. She doesn't call me. There was no screaming. There was no. There's no animosity. It's over. It was just. It was like, okay, well, if that's what you're gonna do, then I'm gonna do this, and that was it. So the uh, to hear the noise of the viewers who tried to make this into more than it is, that's sad. That's very sad to hear this. Uh, but it is what it is. We're all entitled to our own opinions, and so I'll keep sharing my opinion. This kind of commentary is the kind of commentary that I'm going to be doing on the ghosts behind reality. So So you can see that some of this is y'all. Some of this is you, the viewers, who make this story more extravagant and exasperated than what it is. Some of this is you guys taking a it's not even a molehill. Y'all might be taking a pimple and turning it into Mount Everest. Me and Van don't have a problem. Me and Melody don't have a problem. I have a problem with hypocrisy. I have a problem with misconstrued details. I have a problem with deflection. I have a problem with that. And so that is why I say what I say. I'll talk about more of those idiosyncrasies that I have in other videos. But I want to cover that this one issue, this Van issue, I'm giving to y'all for free. Me and Van fell out over my commentary on a review. Me and Van did not fall out over commentary on a sex tape. Van knows what she sent me. I know what I sent Van. Van knows what kind of relationship I had with her. I know what kind of relationship I had with Van. You, the viewers, don't know the details. And unless I have to go to court and they put it on TV, you won't know the details, because the details is our business. The fact that it happened, everybody knows it happened. It's just the details is what I personally am not saying. So hopefully you watch this. Hopefully y'all share this with your friends, and hopefully y'all get this little discourse out of your system. If you could take this anger out of your voice and say, dang, maybe we got it wrong, and instead of listening to him, we automatically felt a certain way, and we didn't need to feel that way. But if you want more of this kind of content, you can catch my podcast, Brown Roots, and the series is going to be called The Ghost Behind the Reality. Carlos is the king of the show, of the reality shows, but Mark James St. Patrick is the ghost behind the reality. Until next time, I'm Mark James, bitch!